Story time about how I saw my boyfriend propose to another girl in front of me. So a little background information. At the time, my boyfriend and I had been together for around 4 years. We had 2 kids together, and our relationship was pretty rocky. Within the first year of us dating, he would cheat on me all the time, and both times that I was pregnant, he would cheat on me also. Now, after I popped out the second kid, our relationship was going pretty well. And if you're wondering why I didn't leave him when he was cheating on me all the time, well, it was mainly because I grew up in a broken home. And remembering how hard it was on me whenever my parents broke up, I didn't want that for them. Well, over the past few months, my boyfriend had been traveling all over the country with his dad, going to meetings and stuff because he was getting ready to take over half the company. Well, fast forward, it's a Thursday, and my boyfriend has a meeting with some associates who flew in from out of state. And later that night, we were supposed to get on a flight with our friends to go to the part 2 about how my boyfriend literally proposed to another girl right in front of me. So like I said, my boyfriend had a meeting with some associates who flew in from out of town, and that night we were supposed to be on a plane to the Bahamas with our friends. So while he was getting ready for this meeting, I went and I dropped the kids off early, and he went to this meeting, and I drove our luggage over to our friend's house because they were just going to drive us to the airport. So my girlfriend and I are super pumped to go on this trip, so we decided to start drinking early, and we went somewhere to get drinks. She suggests this high-end place because the guy at the bar has a crush on her and always gives her free drinks. So we're sitting there having a really good time drinking at the bar. So while we're sitting there, we hear a bunch of clapping and cheering coming from outside. So us being drunk and nosy, we go out there to see what's going on. And what are the chances I walk out there and my boyfriend is down on one knee in front of another girl? And I'm not very confrontational whenever I drink, so I told my best friend to just take me back to her house. When we got back, it was around 6 p.m. And my boyfriend tells me that he's just going to meet us at the airport like for part 3. Part 3 about how my boyfriend proposed to another girl right in front of me. I know this is late, but better late than never. So like I said, we left, I went back to her house, and my boyfriend has the audacity to text me, "I'll just meet you guys at the airport." So my best friend's like, "What do you want to do? Do you want to go beat him up?" Of course I said no, so I told her and her boyfriend to just go to the airport while I figured out what I was going to do, and to not say a word. Which was hard for my best friend because she was confrontational as fuck. So I texted my boyfriend saying that I was sick and I just wasn't going to go to the Bahamas with them, when in reality I was packing up our whole house, leaving him with only his clothes and his shoes. So I put all the stuff in storage and I just decided to move back to my mom's house. And yes, this was in a span of a few days. So the whole time that he was gone, I was acting like everything was okay. On the last day of the trip, I sent him a text saying that I knew about everything. And I said I never wanted to hear from him again and I never wanted him to see the kids again. And he took that quite literally. I never got a text back. Well, 4 months after all this happened, I soon find out that he got a new house in North Carolina with his new wife and they have a daughter on the way.
Am I wrong for wearing all white to my best friend's wedding and refusing to apologize? My 30 female, best friend 32 female, invited us, husband and I, to go on vacation with them to a paradise island. She told me to bring the dress I wore to my anniversary dinner for the special dinner event she planned during the vacation. I said sure. I also recently gave birth, and that dress is a very elegant black lace over nude dress that is very classy but also form-fitting. When I tried it on when packing, I realized it wasn't as flattering and I had a hard time fitting. So instead, I packed a cute, semi-formal white lace dress instead. I figured it was close enough. I arrived to the event and found out it was a surprise wedding where she only invited like 20 guests on the beach. She hadn't told me it was her wedding because of an inside joke. I kept telling them to get married, and watch, they will elope and the next thing we know they are married. She was horrified and so was I. I didn't bring any other dress, plus there was no time to change or buy a new one. Also, surprise, I'm the maid of honor. I offered to either not be the maid of honor or leave the wedding, but she'd rather me not. Later, she blamed me for ruining her wedding because I didn't follow her instructions to wear a specific dress and didn't tell her about changing my mind. I said I'm sorry her wedding was ruined, but it wasn't my fault and she should have told me it was her wedding, and at the time of packing, I didn't find it appropriate to get her approval on my outfit. Okay. This all could have been preventable and you could have kept it a secret. First of all, I would not let my best friend or maid of honor wear the same dress that I've seen her wear. I would have been like, hey, let's go out, let's go shopping for our vacation, let's find some cute dresses for the beach. I would have helped her find a dress to be my maid of honor without her knowing that she's going to be my maid of honor. Am I wrong for walking out of my sister's birthday party after she announced she was pregnant? Growing up, my sister, 26, and I, 23 female, were not that close. She was my parents' favorite daughter. I've always been a little overweight. I had PCOS and my sister was slim and fit. I always held that resentment towards her, especially when she belittled me with my mom. Not letting me eat more than one serving of dinner or more than one serving of dessert. Telling me that sleeping in was making me gain weight. She always overshadowed my accomplishments. My sister married when she was 23 to a wealthy man 28 from our community. We're Indian. Her marriage was arranged. They have 3 beautiful kids. I love my niece and nephew more than anything. I married my husband 26 2 years ago and we've been trying for a baby for almost 1 year. My sister always said it's because I brought shame to my parents culture that I couldn't have a baby. After many negative tests, a few months ago we finally had a positive pregnancy test. Unfortunately, when I was 4 months, I had a miscarriage. I was devastated. I couldn't believe what was going on. 2 months after our tragedy, my family threw my sister a birthday party. There, she and her husband announced they were pregnant. My heart did ache, but I was happy for them. As the evening went on, my sister kept making comments like, "We weren't even trying for a baby." It's so funny how we get pregnant so easily. Just as I thought things couldn't get worse, we were standing with my cousins and my sister said, "We didn't even want more kids." I was almost contemplating having an abortion. She said all of that while looking at me. I am all for women having abortions, but having my sister use it as a weapon against me, showing off how fertile she is, how she was contemplating having an abortion after they decided to keep the baby and announce it. That really hurt me. I was so upset and frustrated. My husband noticed a change in my emotions immediately. We said goodbye to my parents and left the party immediately. I got many texts from my sister and our cousins calling me jealous and an asshole for walking out on my sister's birthday party and not being part of their pregnancy celebration. What? My husband and our friends say that I had all the right to feel the way I did, but I'm not sure. So, am I the asshole? No, your sister is literally the worst person in this earth. She is so jealous of you. It's so clear and obvious for some reason that she's so bitter in her own life that she just has to shove it all down herself. People like that, when they have problems within their own life, they have satisfaction by just bullying other people. Am I wrong for telling my husband off for wanting me to let my infertile brother-in-law and his wife experience childbirth by being with me in the delivery room? My husband's brother, 37, and his wife, 35, struggled with infertility for years. After trying so much for long, we decided to stop. But they started sort of living the experience of having a child by doing the things that parents do, like getting a nursery, buying baby clothes, toys, attending school shows, etc. I'm 7 months pregnant, and brother-in-law and sister-in-law have been asking so many questions on what it's like to be expecting. It was bothersome with them getting involved, but I grinned and bared till they requested to be with me in the delivery room to experience the childbirth. I said no and stood firm, but later discovered that my husband volunteered his place to give his brother and his wife a chance to have this experience. Brother-in-law and sister-in-law came over later to try to talk me into it. I nicely said no, but they pushed me, so I blew up telling them their fertility problems aren't my fault and told them to get therapy. Harsh, I know, and I regret saying it. My sister-in-law started crying. Brother-in-law asked me to take time to think, but I rudely said there was nothing to think about and my mind's already been made. They left and my husband started raging. After yelling at me about how this is his child too and how rude and dismissive I was to his grieving and struggling brother and wife, he told me to look him in the eyes and tell him if I would be happy to ruin his brother's marriage when I can do this small yet graceful deed and help brother-in-law and wives process their trauma and finally make peace with it. That's not your job, what the fudge? I felt so much anger, I cried. He told me to get over myself already and stop being purposefully selfish and petty. We're not talking now, and he says it stays this way till I say yes. I might have acted cruel, but I just wanted him as the father of my child to be with me and don't feel comfortable with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law being there. Yeah, because your legs are like this. So I understand if you're not comfortable when you're pushing a baby out of your body for the first time and don't want no one else besides your husband. Am I wrong for saying my sister probably has a different dad? My mom and my dad are both super white and super blonde. My brothers, 29 male and 23 male, and me, 26 female, are also super white and super blonde. My sister Nicole, 20 female, has pretty dark skin and 3C natural hair. I wish I could just assume that Nicole has darker skin and curlier hair due to some strange genetic glitch, but I can't. My mom used to have a very close friend who would visit when my dad was gone, and he was black. When Nicole was born, her friend stopped coming around and my parents spent a lot of time fighting. Nicole knows nothing about my mom's special friend. Anyway, we were all eating dinner at my parents' house over the weekend, and Nicole mentioned that she wanted to take a 23andMe genetics test. She's 23 and doesn't know that she is not her father's biological daughter. Okay, my parents got really uncomfortable and told her not to do it. My mom started saying that those tests were a government control mechanism, which is something she would never normally say. It developed into a fight between Nicole and my parents ended up storming into the kitchen. Nicole tried to get me and my brothers to side with her. She kept going on about how crazy it was that her mom thought the DNA tests were some sort of conspiracy and that she was adamant she was going to take one. I said, all right, you can take one, but you should know you'll probably find out some stuff you don't want to know. That just made her more angry, and she asked me what she would find out. I said, you'll probably find out that you have a different dad than you've always thought. But she got really mad and went into the kitchen to confront mom and dad. There was a lot of screaming, and finally, our mom told us all the truth and screamed that Nicole probably has a different dad. My dad already knew, but the conversation really hurt him and he went to take a drive. Nicole turned to me and started saying that I was such an asshole for saying she might have a different dad, and if I hadn't said it, our mom wouldn't have had to say it like that. I said that it was her fault that she went and bothered my mom about it and that she couldn't take no for an answer about the DNA tests. Honestly, I do not care if Nicole has a different dad. She's always been my sister and she always will be my sister. But the way she found out was terrible. Even still, I resent the fact that she's calling me an asshole over him. So I wanted to ask here, am I? My take on stuff like this is that you should never hide stuff from your kids. I think at a certain age, both parents should have been like, you know what? She's going to grow up. She's eventually going to find out. And we want to make sure she finds out on our terms. So either be 15, 18, whatever that age you guys decide to tell her. But I think it's wrong to deceive your kids and make them like you're gaslighting them by saying, why would you take those tests? Like, what do you...
My 20 female boyfriend, 25 male, is mad about the type of bikini I wore. A group of us, 8 people in total, were supposed to go on a 2-week holiday. Unfortunately, my boyfriend had to stay because of a work crisis.
That sucks for him.
Well, while I was away, we talked every evening. I posted pics on my Instagram almost every day. The pics were in a bikini that I bought there.